And circling back to our top story, the appointment of Iran's next supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, drawing mixed reactions. While some celebrated his succession, others are urging caution. And for more, we're joined by Anoush Ehteshami, who is a professor of international relations at Durham University. Professor, great to have you with us. Now, Mojtaba Khamenei, now in power, after the killing of his father, will this push Iran towards further confrontation, or does it actually open the door to further negotiations with Washington?
I think it's probably a bit of each. A new face, a new person will probably provide opportunity to try and put, the legacy of his father behind him and look a bit more positively on developments. But given that he will be coming to power in this position at the height of an existential threat to the regime, and given that the military establishment, particularly the Revolutionary Guard, are behind him, he'll find it very difficult to try and find a path to compromise while bombs are still falling on Tehran and other cities.
And speaking of which, the US and Israeli officials, they have publicly warned that the new leader could be targeted. Do you think then that his days are numbered? And how likely is another direct attack on Iran's current leadership?
I think the latter is likely, that they will continue to attack the echelons of power in Iran to weaken decision-making and also control of the institutions of the state. But whether they'll be able to kill him as easily, effectively as they did his father is an open question. Iran is obviously wised up to this reality and will be trying everything to protect him for as long as they can. Because the one thing that they crave more now than ever is a period of stability and to give confidence to the forces that are fighting this war against America and Israel.
Yeah. Well, meanwhile, the critics are noting that Mojtaba Khamenei has never held elected office and he's only a mid-ranking cleric. How realistic is it for Iran's new supreme leader to govern, especially under the threat of assassination? And how might that shape his foreign and security policy?
Right. I think he's gonna be given a plate of challenges to manage. You're right. He's a junior cleric, but so was his father actually when he became supreme leader after the death of Ayatollah Khamenei back in 1989. However, he had been president, so he had some experience in authority, as it were. Mojtaba doesn't formally, but informally, he was actually running his father's office. The leader's office is a Kremlin-esque organization of many thousands of functionaries who interact with every organ of the state. He will have that at his disposal, or what remains of it, subject to these attacks by America and Israel. So he'll have the machinery behind him. He'll have some experience, given that he was present in many of his father's meetings and so on. But what he won't have, what he lacks, is the ability to make decisions. And for that, he'll have to rely on the much more experienced individuals in the state. There are many of them around still, including the three who formed this governing body before he was elected. And so he'll be getting a whole host of rather conflicting advice. The question for me then is, does he have the ability to discern a decision that is a progressive way to advance Iran's interest in this crisis? Or will he be swinging from left and right in a hodgepodge of decisions that will continue to weaken their standing?
Yeah, so I would put that question to you then. With that machinery behind him, as you alluded to, how likely is Iran to escalate attacks then on oil facilities or shipping lanes under this new leadership that could really worsen the crisis?
I think they will resist that temptation because they know that that kind of escalation will remove any levers of control that they may well be able to exercise. While they've talked about there being no red lines, that about this is war of existence and so on, they've been very careful in their escalatory strategy. I think, doing that kind of thing would be a real red line for Iran's neighbors and also for international community, including in particular in East Asia and Southeast Asia. And responses would be swift, and Iran would find itself even in a more isolated position that it finds itself now. So that may happen, but we're not there yet. And I think the key to unlocking that crisis remains in Washington. President Trump has the ability and also the high ground to try and bring this to a swift end. But sadly, I don't see any indication from White House that he's in the mood to compromise at this stage.
Yeah, Professor, thank you so much for sharing your perspectives with us. I've been chatting with Anoush Ehteshami, who is Professor of International Relations at Durham University.